Sid first. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool
Such
when
a
it's Ari
beautiful
first.
voice.
Oh, why thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome back, beautiful family. We are back with another episode once again. We've been spending some time in April, and it'll drift into May, talking about, wellness, and we'll spend some time also talking about spirituality, which is cool. So back again with another episode this week. This week we're talking about mindfulness practice and yoga. And y'all know our girl Ari is a yogi.
Non-practicing, but yes.
So, welcome back to the Ari and Sid show. I'm Sid.
Hey, I'm Ari.
We're forever friends, and this show is about the shit we care about.
Yeah, on any given day, we find ourselves having conversations about meaningful shit. Sometimes it's not so meaningful. And so we made this show so that we can share our meaningful shit and not meaningful shit with you.
Absolutely. And share our love for cuss words as well.
Yes, that too.
Yeah. So, all right. We're talking about wellness. We've been talking, and I feel like, we in general in our conversations talk a lot about how we are maintaining ourselves and taking care of ourselves, especially in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And mindfulness, I think, is something that has been popular and popularized maybe over maybe like the last 10 years or so,
Yeah,
maybe
I'd say
shorter.
so.
But when were you first introduced to mindfulness? And sort of like
Can I read?
what was like your first thoughts? I'm sorry.
Yeah. But before we get into that, not to be cliche, but I do want us to practice a little mindfulness right now, and everybody else who's listening too. Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna close our eyes.
Okay.
And we're gonna take the deepest breath we've taken all fucking weekend, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's just been like, it's Monday, tomorrow. Okay, so close our eyes, plant your feet on the ground, take a deep inhale, and release. And with that release, just remember that while we may not be looking forward to Monday, we have potentially another day to start a new beginning, and not everybody gets to wake up with that same opportunity. And with that, I will say you can now open your eyes. And welcome back to the episode. If you need to if you want to go back and pause it and reflect some more, I highly encourage you to do that. I just was feeling like I needed that, and a little moment.
Dang, I like that. Now, I'm gonna start requesting you to like ground us in, like, set the intentions for us. That was really nice. It was like one deep breath, but it was a deep breath, like you said, that I know I needed. So,
can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was saying that I really like that, and so I might in the future request for you to ground us in, like to get us started and like set the intention for our shows, because it was only one breath, but it was a necessary breath. Like you said, I needed that deep breath. I've not taken a deep breath like that all weekend. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
of course.
getting us started there.
Maybe we'll do a bunch of different ones, because while I'm not practicing, like I'm not a yoga teacher, right? But I do have my certification, and there's lots of things we can do. So I will dust off my books. But back to the question, when was I first introduced to mindfulness? I don't think so. When I became certified in yoga, that was in 2016. And to be quite honest, it wasn't even like me wanting to do something that was going to be beneficial to my health. In full transparency, I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, and I was working on the Salt River Reservation, and they were offering free yoga certification to the community and those who serve the community. So I was like, sure, I'll take a free certification in yoga because if you know, becoming a yogi is quite expensive. So um, I started doing those classes after work. I think it was twice a week. And it really put into perspective of how important paying attention to your body, and not only your body as far as like what you eat and your exercise, but like what you're thinking about and what you're consuming in the world and energy, and how certain postures will benefit you, because in yoga, like, there's different, um, I mean, they're called asanas, right? So moves and whatever, but there are certain postures and things that you can do to, benefit different parts of your body. And I kind of touched on this before in another episode, but like hip openers are really good for people who, well, obviously, right, who sit a lot, but like those who've experienced certain sexual traumas, or specifically women who they carry a lot of stress in their hips. So doing hip openers, if you do twists for digestive health, I mean, if you're pregnant, don't do twists. But if you are, if you aren't, then you can, do some certain twists that help. There's yoga for menstruation benefits, so all the things. So, with that being said, I started in 2016, and I really had no idea. I had somebody had told me that yoga was used historically. This is a very like the opposite of what I just said. But somebody had told me that like yoga was basically like a religion, and the poses were used to pray to different gods, right?
Okay.
And that was like when I was like 18. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do yoga because I'm not praying to gods. You know what I mean? Um, so dumb. So before I took this course and like learned like yoga is not a religion and all those kinds of things, um, I was definitely rejecting it. And while poetry can seem to be mindful, I never was intentional about it. When were you first introduced to mindfulness?
um so maybe my either junior or senior year at ASU, so in undergrad, I had to take a, well, I don't know if I had to, but I took a mindfulness class.
Hmm.
And I remember it distinctively because of the classroom that I was in, because it was on the downtown campus and it was upstairs in like the main building downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And so the classroom was just like glass essentially. So
Oh wow.
even though the class was mindfulness, I definitely found myself staring out of the glass windows and just watching everybody walk around, which was really
Yeah.
funny because, like, now think about it, I wonder if that was intentional
Mm.
because, to strengthen the practice or whatever. Because I, like, my first like reaction or thoughts to it, honestly, especially because it was a class, I was like, I need something easy to add on to this semester so I can pass, right? Like, I'm not trying to take anything. It was an elective. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, going into it, I'm like, okay, duh. Like, if you pay attention to things, it'll be a little bit better. Like, that's really what I was thinking about it. But like, it's so much deeper than that, and it really
Yeah.
is. And like, you do get a lot more out of life when you're able to, apply these sort of like this like way of thinking, or just like give yourself more time, right, and be more present. And I think that is super important. So I guess it would be that my introduction was around 2013, 2014, around that time. But not really even taking it very serious. I mean, even when I was done with that class, I wasn't really taking it very serious after that. I don't think I really did until like the last few years. And I
Yeah.
think because like I can admit that like I am very intimidated about like the process of like meditation and things like that, simply because like my mind wanders, and so I automatically think that I'm doing it wrong. But like I'm
Mm.
grateful to have learned throughout this time, like, you're not doing it wrong. And like a lot of people, that happens to a lot of people. Like, a lot of people aren't
Right.
able to just sit and like from the jump, their very first time, sit through a 5 minute, 10 minute meditation and really stay focused, right?
Right.
And so it was like relieving to hear people talk about like, yeah, your mind might drift, but just come back. And
Yeah.
that's mindfulness, right? Like that, the fact that like you could say like, oh shit, like I wasn't supposed to be thinking, I was not thinking about that. Like, why am I over there? Come back, you know? Yeah, yeah,
That's real.
yeah. I think, and I think that's a reality for a lot of people, like the intimidation factor of it, right? Like, man, I can't say like I've seen this. Of course, I'm gonna bring up TikTok because that's one of my latest obsessions. But I've seen a TikTok where a person was like, "What people think mindful or meditation looks like, right? Or mindfulness." And so it was like someone like sitting very still and like with their eyes closed
Mm.
and like just thinking like quietly. And then they were like, "What it's actually like." And so it's the same person sitting there, but their thoughts are like going everywhere. Like, did I put that in the fridge last night? Dang. Do I
Mm.
need to go wash my dog? Dang. Like just going all over the place. And
Yeah.
they would be like, bitch, you're not supposed to be there. Come back. And then so all the thoughts like disappeared, and then she like came back, and so that's like refreshing because like I'm not the only person. Like I can do this, but
Yeah.
it's work. And you can get there by practice.
Yeah. And I think, um, honestly, in that same sense, mindfulness is there's not one way to be mindful, right? Because like you said, not meditating might not work for every person because of XYZ, but like meditation isn't the only thing. People don't even realize the things that help you slow down could be your form of meditation, right? So some people garden, you know, some people read, which sounds like that's not right because you're not, alone with your thoughts, but like things that help you pay closer attention to yourself, or not even like, what's the thing? Subconsciously, you're like, thinking about not the things you need to do, but like how you're feeling, and you breathing a little bit more, and you're sitting in sun, taking a walk could be meditation. There's just so many different forms of it. So I say that because I think a lot of people, like you had said, like you were intimidated by meditating, and that's something that's like super fucking real because I mean, some people don't even have time. Like, you want me to sit down and, not do anything for 5 minutes? Who has time for that shit? You know what I mean? You're a mom. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, 5 minutes come few and far between. I can do a lot of other things in that 5 minutes. Okay.
Right. So I definitely feel like if you're listening and you're like, I'm never gonna be that person. Just, think of something that you're already doing that makes you, that you don't feel like is a chore, and try to be more present in that moment when you do it the next time. So if you go on a walk every single day and it's just like, oh, that's my form of exercise, think about it in a different way. Like, pay attention to your five senses, right? Because like mindfulness is about noticing your five senses, right? So what do you hear? What do you see? I mean, if your eyes are closed, then that's an easy one, right? You don't see anything. And then what do you smell? What can you feel? I can't remember the last sense. I don't know why.
I thought you said all of them.
Hear, smell,
Oh, I guess.
see. Oh my gosh, I don't know the five senses.
Oh, it's taste. I was gonna
Taste.
say
Yes,
talk,
taste.
but taste.
Yes,
So yeah.
taste.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
eating could be a fucking if you're cooking, you know what I'm saying? Like, next time you cook dinner, if you cook dinner for your family every day, like next time it may not feel like you enjoy it, but if you make some bomb ass food, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. What are you smelling when you're chopping up peppers and shit? And what do you feel when the steam is boiling? Or that doesn't make sense. When the water is boiling. I
I
am a
like
cooker, I
that
promise,
example.
but
I like that example though. I like again back to TikTok. I have found myself really liking like of course, DIY TikTok and home decor TikTok, but also like cooking TikTok or chef TikTok or whatever. And
Mm.
like I get excited when I'm like there's a meal that like I know I have to put some intention and like planning into and like pay attention, right? Like I know I have to like do this a certain way and there's steps to it. Like I that really excites me. Like I get really excited that it's like and like I don't want to do this every day. Like I'm not trying to like do
Right.
multi-step and multi-course dinners every night. That's ridiculous. But in the times that I do get those opportunities, it's a lot of fun. And it's definitely something like I think that definitely a way that I practice mindfulness because, like, you know, I'm very strategic about it. Like, I have to get all my things out, and then I have to chop up everything I need to chop up, and what pans we're going to use, and like which oils we're
Yeah.
going to use, and all these other things. So I like that example. And like the eating, right? Just simply eating. I think sometimes like we, especially right in this work culture where like we don't even have like ample time to purchase our food and eat it or you know heat up our food and
Right.
eat it and be relaxed paying attention to like your bites and being like ooh that bite was really good and like what did I taste more in that
Yeah.
bite, did I taste more of the peppers, did I taste more of the onions, things like that. It's not to say that like you have to like think about that for the rest of the day, right? But like in that moment, like it felt good to know, like, dang, all those peppers and those onions and everything felt really good going down.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I got a wisdom tooth pulled this week, right?
Mm.
And I don't know if it's like a combination between my tooth being pulled and then also having braces. Yes, if you're listening and you know me, I have braces again. Um, but I the first time I ate afterwards, 'cause it took me a while to want to eat, right? My
Mhm.
face was numb. And so when I ate, actually, it wasn't until the next day. So I ate something and it was fine. I didn't feel weird. The next day, I don't know what the fuck happened, but like I could feel teeth that I don't remember touching before. It was the wildest thing. And so like eventually that feeling will go away, right? Like it'll be like normal again where I can't pay attention to my teeth. But like so far the rest of this weekend, I'm like, I'm like grinding my teeth, not grinding, but like touching my teeth together, being like, damn, I don't remember it feeling like that. So short tangent, but when paying attention to eating, I was like that when you said that it struck me because I'm like, I've been doing that.
Yeah. What speaking of, what are other things that you do to practice mindfulness? Like things that like you do purposely.
Mm. I mentioned this last episode, so I play music, music without words. So instrumentals. I don't know why I said it so complicated. I listen to instrumentals and and I usually like sit either in my room and like stare out this window that has a lovely view of a wall. Um and then or I will go and sit outside on my little patio and listen to music. Another thing that I do is I clean. And it's also kind of a response to being anxious of being having a dirty house too. So it's kind of a little bit of both a mindfulness and like OCD. Um, and what else? I don't know. I mean, all the other things, you know, the things I've always mentioned, right? So writing, doing macrame, um, yeah. I also one thing I used to always do, which I don't do it as often, is I used to spend like so much time on Pinterest looking up like quotes and
Mhm.
affirmation and things. I mean, I used to send them to you guys. I fell off, you know. Um, but yeah, so just kind of things I guess that aren't necessarily traditional mindfulness practices is kind of what my go-to is. Um, what do you have that you do to practice mindfulness?
So, some of the things that I've been doing, I guess, to practice mindfulness is one of the things I would say is like on our family walk. So, we go on a walk every day, right? And because Amina is a toddler, we do a lot of like identifying things for her. And the other day, it was super windy outside, and she kind of like freaked out because it was blowing the trees, and we were near this gate, and it was like making a lot of noise. So, she was like looking around, like, what the hell? So, we were explaining to her like wind, and like, again, like you mentioned, like using all five of her senses to sort of like explore that and like be present in that. And so she got super excited after we said it. And so she was like, wind, wind. So that's cool. I think also my guitar. So like my guitar kit, I have it so I can, fix my string. But I think playing the guitar for me is sort of mindfulness because I mean, I'm barely learning and I don't know how to like read music or anything. So all of that is very like I have to be present and intentional.
Yeah.
That's how I messed up and popped my string because I was like so trying to like pay attention and like um what is it called? Like like
Tune it? Is that what it is?
yeah, tune it correctly. So I was like really trying to make sure I had all of the strings tuned so right that I was focusing hyper focusing and that's why I popped it.
Mm.
So, but I do think that like that takes a bit of mindfulness. Also, like I think I mentioned this before, like when I'm working out now, like I am very intentional about paying attention to my breathing and like which muscles I'm working out in that time.
Mm.
So like if I'm doing like ab workouts, like I will like try to remind myself and like tell myself like you're doing ab workouts, so like what abs are there, and like trying to focus all my
Yeah.
attention there so that I could be present in that space and feel really what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's been really really interesting, and I think it's also been helping me like do exercises correctly.
That's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, right. So yeah, those are my top ways of being mindful. Mo meditates every morning, and I think that's so dope. And he's gotten so good at it. He's consistently been doing it for a year now. And I try it. I've done it. I did it once last week. I have the Insight Timer
Oh yeah.
app on my phone, so I did do a morning meditation with that app the other day, and that was cool. Oh, something else. So I just bought. This is random. I have a colleague who is a social worker, and she's also a perinatal support worker, like a perinatal health professional, and she created this like system, and so it's called the Complete Compassion Guide or Complete Compassion Project, and it comes with a planner, a card deck, and a journal. I didn't get the planner. It's a guided planner, but I didn't get that one. But I did get the card deck, and it's for professionals that work with people essentially, so that they can like practice mindfulness essentially and practice giving compassion to themselves. Um, so it says the Complete Compassion Card Deck is 35 journal prompts developed for helping professionals as an innovative, guided means of strengthening resilience when faced with secondary traumatic stress.
Mm.
So I bought the cards and it came with the journal. And so I'm going to start that. I think
Yeah.
it'll be a lot of fun. I think this is my first time buying like a prompted journal.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting experience, but I'm very excited.
Yeah. That's dope. That's similar to the card deck. The we're not really strangers.
Yeah.
I think that I want to hear one of these questions. Let's see one of these
Yeah.
questions.
Okay. This is my first time opening it. So
Oh, well, I will talk while you
Ooh,
open.
unboxing. Yeah.
I think it's also super dope, especially because like people don't really stop to think about their secondary trauma. And like in that field specifically, social work and, you know, really in this people service industry, serving people, you experience things that you don't even realize is something that's going to affect you.
Right. Ooh, okay. Cool. And she says that you're supposed to give yourself at least 45 minutes to an hour to focus on strengthening your resilience. I like that. I love that word. Okay. All right, so this one says STS prevention planning. That's the top of the card. That's like the heading.
Mm-hmm.
Question, it says, when we feel connected to our work, a sense of purpose emerges and our hope increases. This allows strength and resilience to continue. The journal prompt is, what can you do to nurture a sense of meaning and hope as it relates to your work?
Hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah, and so she says, to use this deck, choose a time in your day when you have at least 45 minutes to focus. Shuffle the deck and follow the prompts in a journal, notebook, or wherever you feel comfortable. Um, the prompts are not meant to be approached as essays, rather just a way to respond in the way that's the most natural to you. So that's cool. And then she encourages going back to revisit your entries for self reflection.
Yeah.
This is dope. I'm definitely gonna link this in our show notes and things so that if y'all want to, y'all can grab this. Um, I love this already, and I will keep y'all updated with how I go on strengthening my resilience.
Yes. Let us know. Let us know your journey. Um, keeping us moving along here. Um,
So, yeah. So keeping us moving on, we already talked about how we practice mindfulness. I think we've also dropped like our like keywords and really what we assume or what we think mindfulness is, right? Like essentially being present, taking time to really pay attention to really what's happening with you. Um,
yeah.
and I think what we also mentioned is that like it doesn't have to be something big and it doesn't have to be something that's going to take up a lot of time,
Yeah.
right?
And also, I would say it it could be big, right? It could be you could go on a trip, if you're already
Mm-hmm.
planning a vacation, I don't know, going to the beach or something, makes you plan a fucking 5-minute walk down the beach, because you're on vacation anyways, right? So,
Yeah.
um, if you don't want to journal, write in your notes app if you have one on your phone. If you, one of the things though, I would say also about mindfulness, it's not only about being reflective, right? It's about being compassionate in how you move through life. So,
Mm-hmm.
finding the compassion towards yourself, right? So, like, let's say you're struggling with being mindful, that's not something that you need to bash yourself over. You don't need to feel bad, or you don't have to feel like, am I doing it wrong? I'm terrible at this mindfulness thing, being compassionate towards yourself, and also, finding ways to be compassionate towards other people, because if you're compassionate to others, it will teach you so many things, right? Patience. It teaches you um, how to connect on different levels with people. And so once you do all those things and you put it out in the world, you'll be an expert. No, I don't know if you'll be an expert, but you'll be an expert to yourself. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and then also, so compassion, mindfulness, and we've said a lot about being intentional, but intentional could mean so many things. So, like, establishing your purpose before you do things. So, if you're going to meditate, what is the purpose between like, why are you going to do that? I want to be more mindful. Okay, well, dive a little bit deeper. Why do you want to be more mindful? Um, so you set your intention so that regardless of what you do, whether or not you're quote unquote doing it right or wrong, you set the intention, and doing it in itself with that in mind, you can't fail. So I wanted to say those things as well, because it's such a complex and subjective practice that literally any and everything can be it. And if you need, I will say this because it's not We actually didn't talk about it, but some of the stuff I've learned is actually from watching things on ASU, so Arizona State Universities. They have a center for mindfulness, and so they have I think they're still doing daily videos on their YouTube channel, on ASU's YouTube channel, but you can go back and rewatch like all their practices. They do like guided meditation, they do other things. I performed poetry for one of them. So that's another thing I do. I listen to poetry I go on YouTube and listen to people saying their poetry. So we'll also link that though, because they do have resources, and like they talk about equitable mindfulness. So like maybe some of the things we mentioned aren't accessible to you, and that's okay. But there are other ways that you can find mindfulness in your space. So I think it would be a great resource that we add in there.
Yes, yeah. Speaking of resources, if y'all are listening and you are also following us on Instagram, which you all should, make sure that y'all spend some time in our Instagram bio, because that is where we leave all of our resources that we speak about throughout the week. So if there's ever anything that we mention here on the show, that information will be linked on our Instagram. So be sure to tap in over there.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, I guess we're wrapping up our conversation about mindfulness. I hope that whatever we've said today sparks something in you that makes you feel like you can do it. It's not a monster. You don't have to run from it.
Right. Yeah. And again, like I think one thing too is in that, like being compassionate with yourself, is like celebrating what you did get done. Right. Like if you can sit down and you are mindful for 1 minute today and you weren't being able to do that 1 minute yesterday,
Yeah.
then that's progress, and you can add that to like your bucket. So eventually, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4, and that's more. So
Hey, you're a poet too.
keep on
Look at
going.
that
You know what I'm
rhyming.
saying? It comes off, you know what I'm saying? It just does what it does when it does. So but as always, we always want to leave y'all with, just an extra touch of awareness to let y'all know what's going on in the world and how you can tap in. We mentioned earlier this month that April is National Stress Awareness Month. That's another reason why we are tapping in and thinking so much about health and wellness and spirituality this month. Also going on this week, starting today, April 18th, is National Infertility Awareness Week. So, wanting to send some love and light and some encouragement to those folks who may be battling and going on a journey of infertility. I think the statistic is 1 in 7 families
Mm,
are affected by infertility in some way. So it's not as uncommon as you think. You may know someone who is also going through that. And so I say that to say, let's be mindful, right? To stop and reduce the conversations around asking people, adult people in general, when they plan on getting pregnant, because that could be a very loaded question for a lot of people, and you don't always know what's going on, and also at the end of the day, it's really not your business.
okay.
So
You know what's
just
funny?
want to put that out there. Huh.
I make it real awkward when I get asked that question. I ask them, so what if I can't have kids? And they're like,
Right.
well, yeah. So,
Like
back
imagine
up.
you like asking someone like, "Oh, you guys are," because it's typically like the newly married or just moved
Mm-hmm.
in or things like that, right? Then people start to ask you like, "Oh, so when you guys having a baby?" Imagine someone come back and tell you like, "Oh, we've been trying for 3 years."
I
So
just
what do you say to that?
I just miscarried 4 times. What was anything else? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, what the
Like,
fuck?
and now you feel awkward, and now you feel awkward, and now that person who you just unintended, like just not unintended, but you just brought this up to them for no reason, like now they have to like kind of comfort you because you feel awkward, but you really should have never asked the
Right.
question. Should have just minded your business.
I've had lots of long-term relationships, so that's why that one struck a chord. Because I'm in another long-term relationship right now. Not lots. I say that. That's bad. I don't have. I didn't. I've had a few long-term relationships. So I've gotten asked that on different occasions, and it's always been like, I don't even know if I trust this nigga. Anyways. But yes, National Infertility Awareness Week. Keep those questions
Yes.
to yourself.
Yes, yes, yes.
And last but not least, we have our quote. This came straight from a book. Layla Delia, if you're not familiar, I'm sure you are because like you're not living under a rock. But she has a book called Vibrate Higher Daily. And there's a quote in it that I felt would speak to this. Doesn't speak directly, but I feel like it cracks the door open for you. Um, it's time to rise into your empowerment and purpose. And though you may be scared and have repeatedly doubted yourself, surrender to the path. Realize that being trapped in fear is more exhausting and frustrating than moving forward into the unknown and your empowerment. Journey beyond these voices within that are discouraging you, the ones that may say you can't rise above wherever you are or have been. Open up to a new and better expression of your life. Snaps for that. Thanks, Layla.
Snap, 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 snaps.
Any
Yes.
last words, Sid?
No, I don't think so. I think I really like that quote. I think, like you said, like it doesn't speak directly to it, but then also it does because I think, especially for our, this is gonna, I'm not trying to start a whole another episode, y'all, but I think for some of us, one thing that comes with mindfulness is sort of like living in the present and not navigating relationships based on the past or maybe like what you would hope that it looked like.
Yeah.
So being present in the moment and really taking it for what it is, I think that quote speaks to that. And so I hope that people feel that and take that in for them and help that carry them throughout their week.
Yes, yes. So it's only right. We're gonna do like an exit breath, you know. So if you are still here, close your eyes. Envision a week full of mindful thinking in small pieces or big pieces, whichever one fits your boat. And adjust your posture one time, you know, sit up straight. Inhale through your nose and out through your mouth. And have a good week.